For everyone who doesn't know, my name is Marina Marmolejo, and I'm the new entrepreneur in residence at the New Haven Free Public Library. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about website development. So first, how to buy and own your own domain, aka just the URL that every website has, and then how to transfer that URL and that domain to Squarespace. So this is me. I am the founder and executive director of Dream Kit, which is a nonprofit for young people experiencing homelessness. I'll go ahead and show you because we use Squarespace for our website. So later on, I'm going to show you Dream Kit's website, and then on the back end, how to edit and upload and just change things around. Because for me, I think the more examples you can see tangibly, the easier this new content information sticks in your brain.
So I'm Colleen from the library. I work with Marina, business librarian, social media librarian, and work in I've Squared. So I will be talking a little bit. So I'm not just one of those like people that's super talkative in the meeting. I am going to be like talking a little bit and then also monitoring the chat. So if you're in Facebook and you have any questions, or if you're watching us through here, you have any questions, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So we'll definitely interrupt and sort of like take questions as we're going.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, Colleen. There's so much to talk about in website development, and we're really intentional about making this quick, right? Introducing you to large concepts, and then later on, if you want to dig a little deeper and schedule office hours with me, more than happy to do so. But yeah, ask any questions you have, because we could talk about 1,000,001 things. So I would rather talk about things that people have specific questions on. So the first thing, we are going to learn how to search and then purchase a domain from GoDaddy, and then how to convert it to Squarespace. So overall, very broadly, what is GoDaddy? It's a way for you to know which domains are already purchased online and you can't buy it for yourself, and then which ones are free. The pricing's a little different. So if you use keywords like, I don't know, gym or COVID, or just words that are more popular, your URL is probably going to be more expensive. And so
can I say you can, because I've done this for my dad, because he has 3 separate businesses and he wanted to do like the name of the business, and one of them had like really popular words in it, and so those were more expensive. So he actually did it .net, and one of his other ones instead of .com, which is actually a lot cheaper, and so you can always look into that, or like .anything, really. You can make it .anything, and then the other one was putting Connecticut, or like the location after it, like the name of it, and then CT or something like that.
Yeah, so let's actually look at that right now. Colleen, let me know. You can see GoDaddy, right, when I'm sharing my screen? Okay, cool. So exactly what Colleen is saying. The more complicated your domain is, the cheaper it'll probably be, and the higher likelihood that it's still available. But if you wanted to do something like happy.com, that's probably already taken, right? So up at the top, happy.com, clearly it's taken. And then they give you options for variations that are available to purchase. So happy.fun, that's another thing. You don't always have to have a .com at the end of your website, like what Colleen was mentioning. You can
look at that price.
Happy.fun, $3,000.
That's insane.
$140. So this is a really good opportunity to retrain our brains and think that not all websites have to be .com, .edu, .net. Like, this is a literally happy.pizza is a website. That's crazy. That's something that I don't think we actually learn.
That's a newer trend.
It's absolutely a newer trend. Yeah. So I'm just putting language to the fact that things are changing because there's so many websites out there. The internet has to shift a little bit and provide opportunities for more options for websites. So Lizette, what is your last name? I think it'd be so fun to see if a website is available with your first and last name.
Oh, you know what? I did a search a while ago. Well, you can try. It's Lisette Guzman. Lissette Guzman. I actually did a search a few years ago for Lisette.com, and it was like a dominatrix website.
Really? That's so funny. Well, okay, so the LisetteGuzman.com, probably available. Maybe it's, for other purposes, but right now GoDaddy is showing that LisetteGuzman.co is available for $12 a month. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's LisetteGuzman.net, .org, right? $10. .io, .info, .life. I mean,
why is IO so much more expensive? What is IO?
That's a great question. I actually don't know what IO stands for, but I know a lot of people who have their own personal websites will use the .io. Lizette Guzman.life. So there are a couple options, right? And so if you wanted to add them to your cart, you just click here. One thing I want to mention is if you're starting a brand, a business, a company, it might be beneficial to buy out a couple of domains, right? So if you're in this for the long run, and if like for DreamKit, for example, we bought not only dreamkitapp.com, but we bought, I don't know, like dreamkitapp.io.org, just a couple of ones, so that later down the road, when, you know, we're big and everyone knows about us, we'll own a lot of those domains and can either use them for ourselves or just have them so that other competitors aren't buying those as well and redirecting.
And those can redirect. Like I know like Google has that where if you misspell Google, like no one's gonna have like GOOGEL.com because they know people misspell Google. So they've bought that and then it just redirects to Google. So you're not getting like competition trying to like steal your name by spelling it a little bit different. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. So these prices occur per year. So if you just create an account on GoDaddy, plug in your credit card information, and then it'll just charge you the same amount every year. They often have discounts for first year purchases, right? So instead of spending $20 a year for LizetteGuzman.net, you're spending $15, and then next year it'll charge you $20. So overall, you'll add it to your cart, you'll continue to payment. The structure looks pretty normal to any other site that sells things. And then when you go to Squarespace, I'll show you where you can connect your domain. So overall, just describing the process, you're buying your URL, which in website development, that's called a domain. And then when you create a Squarespace account, you're just connecting that domain and saying, hey, I bought it, I'm the owner of this domain, let's start building a website on Squarespace. So there are a couple of different options. Once you own your domain, you have freedom to create your website on GoDaddy itself, or you can create it on Squarespace or Wix, or there's just so many other website builders. But the one thing that you need at the very beginning is to purchase your domain. So is that clear, Lizette?
Yeah, I've already bought a couple, so through GoDaddy actually. So it's a good refresher.
Perfect. So now, right, let's switch over to Squarespace. So squarespace.com, if you wanted to create an account, you can do that. And since I've already done it, I'll just show you what my homepage looks like. And I'm actually the owner of a couple different websites. So I help Youth Continuum, who's like the main drop-in center / resource for young people who are unstably housed in the greater New Haven area. I help with their website. So you'll see that not only do I have access to editing DreamKit's website, but Youth Continuums as well. And you can scroll down. And if I was, let's say, a contractor and I was given permission by other, companies, organizations to help edit their website, they would show up on this homepage. But for now, we'll just go to DreamKit. So I'm going to click on this. And I'll show you actually what it looks like with not behind the scenes, right? This is what the audience sees when they go to dreamkitapp.com. And again, this is built on Squarespace. So there's, pictures and buttons that people can click on and it takes them, this is our donation. So it'll take them straight to our PayPal for optional donations. There's, if you scroll down, banners, right? More buttons. You can add pictures and videos, embedding YouTube videos.
I will say, I know a lot of people think website design, you need to know HTML, but this is an example of not needing to. This is a free resource a paid resource for the GoDaddy domain, but you are getting the resource. And if you use Squarespace, etc., to literally plug it into the template and make it look beautiful like this without having to learn a language of computers.
I really appreciate you saying that because you're absolutely right. Like, I don't know how to code. Like, I don't know any sort of computer language. And this is all, and we'll look at it. Basically, uploading things in blocks. That's why it's called Squarespace. Every space on this website is like right now, this is the text space, and you go a little bit down and this is a picture space. So right, there's options, right? If you go to team, you can see people on our team, my co-founder, we have some new specialists, app developers. Up here at the top, I'll go to press, and we've linked a lot of the different news articles about DreamKit, right? If you want to get involved, I have this like chat with a mentor. So all of this, you can learn it within a weekend. I promise. So let's go and look at what this looks like behind the scenes. Okay, so I'm on my homepage. Let's click on go to website. And something that I want to mention is if you want to play around, right? You bought your domain and you want to play around with editing your website, you absolutely can, and you don't have to pay for Squarespace until you publish it and make it public to the internet. So you don't feel pressured of like purchasing this subscription and you don't feel comfortable yet, or you don't think your website is good enough. Like, you don't have to pay. It's totally free until you want the public to see it. Then you got to pay.
Actually, I will say one thing. We're not going to go over this one, but there are a couple out there, and I know Wix does this. That's the only thing. They have a free version. Some of these have free versions. There's less involved, like there's less options for it. But if you want like something very basic and you're just learning it, what they'll do is they'll put like Wix.com, this was made by Wix, like right at the top. So you kind of have to deal with the fact that it like indents into your, so like paying for it is definitely something I would say you want to do. But there are ones that you can get started with that will just do the branding right at the top, like this was made with Wix, and then the rest of it goes down.
Yeah. If you start a nonprofit, almost all services online have nonprofit discounts, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, not that no one told me that, but I absolutely forgot. And then just thinking, oh, okay, I can actually get some steep discounts later down the road. So, okay, this is what it looks like on the back end. This is your best friend. This left side panel is where all the magic happens. So pages is basically what it sounds like, right? All of the active pages on your site. So we have a couple. We have home, get involved, and they all exist right here on the top panel board. Get involved, we have team press. So if I wanted to, under main navigation, create another tab, let's just do it, it's fine. I'll click the top, the plus button here. I can either click a blank page and just start fresh, or Lizette, like what you were talking, if you wanted to start a blog, they already have templates available for you here. Start a blog, store. If you're an artist and you wanted to show some of like the fine art portfolios that we were talking about yesterday, this could be an option here. Events calendar, and so all of these are existing templates that we could start off with, right?
And
so
one that I've used, it says at the bottom link. You can link to any other page. So we'll do that for social, like for stuff. You can just say Instagram link and like this link, so you don't have to create like a whole other page. It can just go to a separate page.
Yeah, and it'll live directly on that main navigation page. So that's under main navigation. If I were to create a tab, it would show up at the top. If I want to play around and I want to create a page, but I don't necessarily want it to be linked to our main website right now, I would create it under not linked. And so that's where we have some websites or some pages for DreamKit that aren't connected to our top navigation page. So then I would just click it here, blank page, etc.
So what do you use those pages for? Why wouldn't they be linked?
Great question. So we have, right, for example, let's go back, a page about me, right, just like meet the executive director of DreamKit, and under not linked, right here, right, get to know our CEO, Marina. That is only linked to our team. So if we go to team, and then right here where it says like learn about Marina, that's how you would get there. But I don't need this to be directly linked up top here, right? Right. So it's live, it exists on our website, and I don't need this to be up at the top.
So it is under the domain, like it'll say DreamKit app / Marina or whatever, but it's not on the main thing.
Yep. So I'm gonna show you, Lizette. Let's see. how to start adding things into a page. So I'm going to go to a not linked page. Up top here, let's just do page layouts. So let's make it as easy as possible. This shows you all of the different templates, right? This is one of them. Here's another one. And it's when I click on it, it's going to show up exactly like these templates. And then we have the opportunity to edit the text, to edit the pictures, to edit anything really in this space. So
this is my favorite part of building websites is going through their templates. They're beautiful.
It's so easy. So let's name this EIR. So on the top left, I just titled this tab, this page EIR, and now we can play around with it.
What does EIR mean?
Oh, it just stands for Entrepreneur in Residence. So that was top of mind.
Something you named, okay.
Yeah. It's not Squarespace.
It's a lot of jargon. I know we need to it's just very long, so we always say EIR, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm in this template, and now I can basically edit anything I want. This, right? Edited the text, and then up here is where you can change the sizes. So if I want heading 1, it gets a little bigger. Heading 4, obviously a little smaller. And then paragraph, so even smaller than that, paragraph 2. So let's do heading 1. Boom. And this button here, it's already there. If I wanted to edit this button to go to another website, right? I'll click the little pencil icon, which is edit, and then this brings you out to what do we want to name this button, right? View life story, right? And let's say there's an article out there on the internet somewhere about your life story, or maybe I linked your LinkedIn page or your Facebook page or any sort of thing that exists out there. I would just copy and paste that URL here. I'll just put facebook.com. And so now it's going to link if I wanted to edit the size of the button. So small button, and then align it in center of the page versus right of the page. I mean, everything is kind of at the click of your fingertips. If, right, I wanted to edit the background picture of this, it's called a banner. I would just click this pencil button up here. And then I can change the background to a video. Those are really cool. When you go to websites and they just have videos playing in the background, those are really interactive. So you have video options, image options. You would just drag and drop in this box right here. Up here, you can change the color. So if I wanted it to just have a yellow tint to it, a darker tint to it. I mean, the options are unlimited, right?
I have a question. Is there, because I know with some like Wix, and that's really the only one that I use. I'm sure WordPress does this too. Is there a way to search for images? Do they have an image base, or are you finding these images from pixels like we talked about the other day?
Yep. So you are exactly what you're saying. Going to pictures you have on your computer, whether you've taken them yourself or you've downloaded them from free stock photo websites like Pexel and Unsplash. Yeah, so Wix gives you that library feature in there. Squarespace, to my knowledge, does not.
Okay.
So I want to show you, Lizette, let's say you like this template, but you wanted to add more text to it, right? So this is the title, but you're like, I want to add a picture right below this title. So these lines, so I just highlight over them, that is your indicator of being able to add new features. So every time you're highlighting your mouse over the screen, when this sort of gray horizontal line pops up, that's telling you, hey, this is where you can add something. So I'll click on this, right? And now we have all these options to add blocks, right? Squarespace, add squares, add blocks. I can add text. I can add a quote. You can add images, videos. Spacers are actually a huge feature that I didn't really use at the beginning, and I'll tell you why they're super important a little later on. So spacers, lines, buttons, I mean, the list goes on and on. You can add a newsletter. So if you wanted people to sign up for your email list so you can know who's interested in fine art. sales.
The map thing is amazing too. If you have a physical location, I know my dad has one, and he had two. You just type it in, and they come up with a whole map, and it sources it from like Google Maps or something, and you don't have to do anything for that. It's amazing.
We have our office in Brantford, right? See, perfect. Did a map.
So that's great on like a how to find us location page, you know?
Right. So if we created a little tab at the top that said contact us, and then we inserted a map in our business hours and just text about the company, this would be a perfect thing. Let's say I created a map here. I'm like, actually, I don't really want it. Just this trash icon, click on it. Yes. And we're done. So again, right, this gray line signifies where the box is going to pop up. So there's a difference right now. This took me so long to learn, which is why I want to point it out. This gray line, do you see how it's only touching that first box right here? But then if I hover over a little bit to the left, now this line is really long and it's going all the way across. So if I wanted to add a picture, for example, and I only wanted it to be above Dream It, I would have to make sure that that's where it is. So I would click, and then I would add image, and then I would be able to, let's go to like my downloads. And then
so if you highlighted the whole thing, it would replace all three of those pictures with one picture.
Replace is not the action it would do. It would just add to everything across the top.
So you have three of the same picture.
So you would, I'll show you right now. It would add, watch, image. Do you see how big it is? Because it's now taking up the entire space of the three pictures instead of just adding this one picture. So that's okay, because the drag and drop feature allows you to create things in any space you want and then just drag them to where you want them to be. So
can you resize that, or it's only laid out that way?
Great question. This also took me so long to figure out. And so resizing, you would think like, hey, let me grab on to the bottom right corner and just squeeze it up to the top to resize an image. That's what you do in Word. That's what you do with any feature on the internet. Squarespace is not like that. So you cannot take this big picture, right, and like grab the right and scrunch it in. It's not happening. It's not happening. So what you have to do is use the space, create space blocks. So I'll show you.
Okay.
And we're going to add a spacer. Okay. It just went up to the top. That's fine. I'm going to grab this spacer and move it over to the right. This is going to be way easier. There's a picture here. Let me add a picture. We'll add the Dream Kit logo.
Okay. So now I understand what spacer means. Okay.
Spacer is creating empty space in your website to squish things together or to make things bigger. And so that's a huge feature in wanting to make pictures bigger and smaller, is you'd have to then add empty space or these spacers to the left and to the right to then squish your picture in.
Gotcha.
For me, that is so unintuitive. I'm going to discard you.
No.
And that's what I would say is the hardest part about Squarespace, was learning this empty space muscle memory.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go. So image editor. I went into the picture, clicked image editor. This is cool, right? You can like change the brightness and the contrast. And
that's helpful.
It is helpful. If you go up to the top here where crop is, then you can make your picture longer, or fatter, or wider. This is really good for picture consistency. So I'll go back and show you on our Dream Kit website. Everybody sent me their team picture that was different dimensions, right? Some people had like a horizontal selfie, some people had a long selfie, and the way we were able to make these consistently the same size, just to look more professional, was through this cropping feature to make sure all of them, I think, are like 5x4. So that's just something to think about when you're trying to maintain a specific brand or a specific look across the board. So those are pictures. That's how you would upload, similar to, website or to videos. And
question, I saw the little phone image up at the top right. Is that something that you have to make this, like you have to really edit it to get it to a mobile version because people use mobile so much, or does it kind of do it intuitively?
Squarespace is really good in that anything you're creating on this web-based version, because I'm on a computer, so web-based, it will convert it pretty seamlessly to a mobile version. So if you wanted to say, hey, I'm almost done creating my website, I'm super excited to launch very soon, let me just preview what this is going to look like on a phone to make sure nothing funky is happening. So that's
usually pretty similar. So that's good.
So when I click on it brings it down, and now it shows you what it looks like for someone scrolling on a smartphone.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, so it's really easy. That's Pages, right? We talked about Pages, editing, uploading. I want to briefly mention about design. I know we're running out of time. This is where
definitely, if you're interested in this, do office hours with Marina, because this will take like an hour, but you'll know so much more after the hour.
Yeah, and I get it. There are YouTube tutorials about Squarespace. Being confident enough to be like, I can teach myself. Yes, you can. And I'm more than happy to help because I've done it myself. And if you have specific questions, it's pretty tedious to go on to different, videos and tutorials and just, blogs, try and find your answer. I got you. So this is the design section on the left panel. You can edit the different fonts on your website right here. So you can switch. Right now it's Sophia Pro. You can switch it up. You can edit the colors. So this is actually a good website. This is a good resource. Coolers.co is...
Wow, never heard of that. I'll type that in the chat.
Yeah, it is a really cool way to experience color palettes if that's something really new to you. So it's a generator. I'm going to click start the generator. And let's say okay, I have a brand. I'm trying to create like a gym, and I don't really know what colors I want. So this generates palettes after palettes after palettes for you. All you have to do is click spacebar and it'll randomize a new color palette for you. So I'm like, okay.
So if you have one color that you like, but you don't know what other colors go with it, that's what you would use this for?
What you would use, and let's say, oh, I really like this ash gray. So I'm gonna lock it, and I'm also gonna lock this like pink. And then when I click spacebar again, only the 3 that are not locked change, and they're all still one palette. So this website knows which colors work together and will keep providing you those last 3 colors that you haven't locked until you find, oh, actually I like all of these except this light blue. So I'm gonna keep hitting spacebar until I find, all right, this is it. This is a color scheme I like.
This is amazing.
And I wanted to mention that every color on the internet in the world has a specific numeric value, and that's really beneficial when you're editing your website, because then you can just copy and paste. This is called a hex number. You can copy and paste this green hex number and go back to your website. And so when you're editing your colors, right, color palette, let's edit it, you can
that's great, because if you're editing your colors, you don't want to try and find exactly where that little circle was for every little thing. As long as you know the code, you can
right.
Yeah.
And so I copy and pasted the hex value in here, and now this green is the same one that I really liked on this Coolers website. So this is me just trying to expose you to as many free things as possible. We can talk about this later. So this is how you would create a color palette in your website. Or
I have a question about color palette. So if you had those 3 colors, would it populate in different places, with the button and the different, it would automatically populate in different places in this template, and then you could see sort of how it, okay. Exactly.
So for colors, if I were to then change all of these to greens, every spot on my website would, this contact us, that purple would change to a green. You don't have to do anything except edit your color palette in this.
That's cool.
Section, and then it automatically updates everything else. Yeah. Let's see. So product items is another feature. If I had products to sell on my website, this is where I would edit them.
You would do a catalog there, and totally. It would, okay. That's really helpful.
Totally. Social sharing. So if I wanted to hook up my Facebook or my company's Instagram or my company's LinkedIn, There's options to do it under social sharing. You would connect your accounts, and then every time, let's say I uploaded to Instagram, it would automatically update on my website. So that, again, this is having the computer work smarter for you, and so you don't have to put in as much effort, making sure everything aligns, and you have now more time and more energy to do other things for your business that aren't.
And on that point with the selling of the like products, so you're making the catalog, can you link that to like a PayPal or your bank?
Yes.
Is that something you have to do outside of Squarespace, or
No,
you can
do
do
it
it?
So
Okay.
on this left panel, we talked about pages. The design is like colors and fonts and sizes. Go down here to commerce, right?
Okay.
And this is where you can look at order inventory. You can see customers. You can see different like POS, so point of sales.
That's great. That's really helpful.
Payments and checking and shipping and taxes. I mean, it's a lot, right? So you would have to upgrade if you wanted to do some sort of payment process on here, but it can connect to Stripe, your PayPal, a Square. So those squares are the little things that you can put on your phone. People swipe, and it's all back-ended to your website pretty seamlessly and easily. So for Dream Kit, we haven't sold things on our website yet, but I can explore this with you at the same time.
So that's so helpful. This sounds like they've really thought about like every single thing you might need for your website, and they have like options that you can explore.
Yeah, and they even have waitlist features too, right? Like if you have a product, people bought it off the shelves, but you want folks to still stay engaged with your business, you can add them to the wait list.
Like low stock alerts. This is like very detailed. That's cool.
Yeah. Analytics, I'll just mention that this is a way to understand clicks to your website, the type of engagement and the data and the numbers behind it. So if you wanted to say like, oh, during the holidays, we want to do a lot of social media pushes and we want people high traffic to our website, this is where you would be able to see traffic and values and numbers and all that stuff. So that's under analytics. And settings is where you would connect your social media accounts. So that's what I use.
And then help would have like an FAQ, or do they have video tutorials and stuff?
Video tutorials.
They do.
So videos, they have webinars for you to learn more. So again, that's under the help center. And the last thing I would say is for settings, domains, that's where you would go in and plug in the domain that you bought from GoDaddy. So they have an option to buy your domain through Squarespace. I wouldn't recommend that because then you're tied to Squarespace forever. But if you buy the domain from GoDaddy, you can, if you want to do Wix 10 years down the road, like you can, because Squarespace doesn't own
You'll always own that. Yeah.
You'll always own it. Yeah. So that's my only reason why you should buy it from just like a domain only.
So if you want this public, this is all back end and you save it. Where do you go if you want to make this public?
Yeah. So
site availability. Okay.
Yeah, site availability. And then also here, I think, let's see, permissions. Maybe this isn't it.
Because like you're going to want to put in the work before you make it public. So you want it private until you're ready.
Yeah. No, this is who's editing it. I'll show you. So under pages, right here, let's say like get involved. If I want to I thought that you can do it here. I would just have to drag these tabs into the not linked section for them to not show up on my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I mean, I could go on forever, but that feels like the main features of Squarespace. And
this is so helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
Agreed.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. And just play around with it. You learn the best when you're exposed to it. You make mistakes. I will say the spacing and like adding the pictures and having them bigger and smaller with those empty spaces on the side, that was the hardest learning curve for me. And so don't get mad at yourself or feel frustrated because there's an inevitable learning curve with that. But,
so what are we going over tomorrow?
Right. So let's see. Tomorrow is prototyping. So Figma, I can do some Adobe XD, and then Friday.
What would you describe that as being?
Prototyping?
Mm-hmm.
So I used it specifically for our app. So in, having this great idea, I want to create an app. And like we said before, I'm not computer savvy, right?
We're not coders. Yeah.
I'm not a coder, but I know what I want the app to do. I know the features. I know what the screens would look like. And so prototyping is a way to create a product that's really interactive. Basically, for me in apps, it felt like a real app because I designed the screens, I designed the buttons, and I basically created a story of what the app would look like and sent it to people, and they could click buttons and go back and forth and see what the purpose and the structure of, let's say, this app would be, without me having to hire a team of developers to actually code the app. So people use prototyping in a whole variety of ways. App development is one of them, and then people can create websites. So if you don't want to download Squarespace or Wix or do the whole GoDaddy thing, you can design what your website looks like through these like free prototyping, softwares. Once we look at it, it'll make more sense, but it's basically a designer's playground. Your way to just create the visuals of what you want, right? What an app would look like, what a website would look like, what a PowerPoint would look like without
marketing materials. Are you able to do like what your marketing would look like and then get feedback on that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So.
All right, well, I'm going to put your office hour link in so it's bit.ly/EIR_office hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Question regarding your office hours. So is this just throughout the duration of this week? Or can we reach out anytime, I mean, whenever you schedule those hours?
Yes. I'm at the library for the next 8 months, so
okay.
A lot of times, we have a lot of time together, and every Tuesday or Thursday, if those times don't work for you, reach out to me directly, and then we can figure something out for sure.
So Tuesday is what hours and Thursday is what hours?
So Tuesdays is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Thursdays is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I try to bookend it so folks can do or better evenings or mornings.
And you can do like a 30-minute thing. You sign up for it on the office hours, but you can sign up for more than one.
Yeah. If you want to do a whole hour, let's do it. We'll get really deep into Squarespace methodology.
I almost always have questions after, I read and I'm like, I should have said this, So.
I know this is the nature of this program is we're trying to do it quick. So it's not like overwhelming to people and they don't have to give like a whole hour, but like, that's why we're plugging the office hours because a lot of this stuff you can go over in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys. And I will see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye. See you tomorrow.